Thank you, Susan, and hopefully everyone's warm enough in here. We will warm up shortly as soon as we step outside, I'm sure. So, thank you everyone for being here. I know that this is an intimidating process. It gets really confusing and overwhelming. And while I was looking for things to put together for a PowerPoint, I went onto the Social Security website and discovered they did it for me. So your tax dollars hard at work, so someone did that and made it a little bit easier for anybody to get on if they have questions about disability and the disability process. So we're going to discuss the disability process, and probably not going to give exact time frames because I know every case is a case-by-case situation, and that means that everyone is going to take a little bit longer. Some may get an immediate response, some may need more information. So let's say that you have decided that you are no longer able to work and that you are ready to file for disability. Well, you can go to ssa.gov, G-O-V, and they have a nice little search bar on their website. If you don't see the exact link that you want, or a bar or a box or something regarding disability, just type in the search bar. And I typed in disability applications. So on this page here, it just gives a brief how to apply. And it will also provide information on who can apply for disability benefits online. And just a quick side note, I really encourage anybody who has access to computer service, internet service, to apply online. It will save you time, and it will save you a headache of maybe waiting on the phone to talk to someone, or to take a trip to a field office to meet one-on-one with someone to do an application in person. But if you go online and apply, and once you file that application, then if they have further questions for you, they will contact you, and they have to respond within a certain amount of time. So you will be contacted. So always make sure your information, phone number, address, is up to date. So, who can apply for SSDI? You must be 18 or older. You currently cannot be working over a certain amount, and we'll get to that in a little bit. You cannot have been denied disability in the past 60 days, because that's a different process. That they call an appeals process, and it's a reconsideration of what your initial claim is that we're talking about right now. So this is your initial claim. So you want to see, how do you apply for disability benefits? You can check here to see if you might qualify for the adult disabilities. And there's the disability benefit application. They'll of course want your social security number. Everything is extremely secure on this website. I've used it many times. Everyone has to follow very strict guidelines to make sure that things get processed timely and that there's no personal information lost or hacked into. So feel comfortable about that. Let's see. So what information do you need to supply? Of course, birth certificate, your date and place of birth, social security number, of course, that's the essential thing. Any minor children that you have, and this bullet point here regarding your bank or other financial information, that is mostly for people who are definitely going to be allowed in a very short amount of time. So this they just put on there to kind of say, go ahead and supply it, we may or may not use it. So either way, it's going to be secure with them. They will return it, or they'll notify you that it's been destroyed for you. When you fill out the application, it is fairly lengthy. There are a lot of questions regarding your condition. They want to know details. They'll ask about your impairment. So if you're applying for multiple sclerosis, you'll want to answer the questions on a regular scenario. For example, like you don't want to say that I'm answering these questions based on today, which happens to be a really great day. You want to consider the overall timeline that led you to apply for disability. So answer it in that narrative, and be precise, I guess. Be to the point and be consistent. If there's a question in there about your daily activities, you don't want to say that, yes, I feel horrible all the time, but you're inconsistent by saying you do marathons 3 times a month. You know, it's just things like that are red flags, of course. So just be consistent, and if you have questions, I believe that you may be able to email them, or they definitely will contact you about further information for clarification, just so they can make sure that things are consistent. They'll also want to know about your work information, and we'll get to that on the other screen that I'll pull up in a moment. But the documents you need to provide, again, are the birth certificate, social security cards, your W-2 forms, because this is SSDI. This is based on your earnings over your lifetime that you have paid into Social Security. So your earnings that are in your Social Security statements that you get, which are available online now, will tell you how much you would get per month if found disabled or retired. So you can also mail in your documents, but again, I encourage everybody to apply online if you can. If you can't, you can contact the field office and arrange an appointment, and you can locate that information of your closest field office on the SSA website as well, and you can type that into the search bar, and it'll tell you what's the advantages of applying online. Again, time is the main advantage. And what happens after you apply, your your earnings are reviewed in the field office to make sure that you're earning under a certain amount for the year, or based on your time frame of when you said you became disabled. And then if everything is okay, that you're under an allowed amount, because you can't be working over a certain amount of money per month while receiving disability benefits. So if everything is okay regarding your work, they will send it off to a state Social Security disability office. And in the state of Kansas, there is one disability office. In the state of Missouri, I know that there are 3. In the state of Nebraska, there's 1. But if there is an overflow or too many claims at the time, they may share their casework with other offices that have qualified disability examiners as well. So, how they decide if you are disabled. The first step is, as I mentioned, are you working? And as I said, they did the hard work for me. They put this together. And right now, for 2016, you are only allowed to earn gross $1,130 per month. Now, each year it changes a little bit. Some years have been put on hold, but currently It is that amount a month. So if you're applying today and you're working full-time, you cannot bring in that much, anything more than that gross per month. So then if you're meeting all the work information, they want to know, is your condition severe? And how they determine that is if you, what they call meet a listing. And they have a list of impairments, and MS is one that qualifies. And to meet this listing for MS, you have to have a history of MS, longitudinal. You have to show decline. You have to not be able to work, of course, and it has to significantly impair or impact your daily activities. And some other important things to review or to consider when determining if MS is severe is two extremities. If you're not able to walk, say both legs are impaired by MS, that qualifies under meeting a listing. If both of your arms do not work, if one half of your body does not work properly due to MS, and there's been over 6 months of consistent decline or consistent inability to do that or to use those extremities without significant help with an assistive device, then that would qualify as meeting a listing. Also, MS affects vision. MS can also affect your hearing. So those are some other areas of the body that they would review to see if you would qualify under MS as well to meet the listing.
What about fatigue and cognition?
That is something that can be reviewed. It's harder to review fatigue and cognition, which is why I stress be consistent with your remarks and your answers on your application. Because if you have severe fatigue and it's lasted a good 6 months, even with treatment from your doctor and there's been no response, no positive response to treatment, and you're still declining or you're staying the same, then they'll review that. But if you're saying that you get up, you take the kids to school, you go shopping for 4 hours, you garden for 5 more hours, but oh, you're so tired, it's not consistent. Yeah. So be honest and be consistent and consider how you are all the time, not just your good days.
So are these things that you will have to prove medically? Because a lot of times with multiple sclerosis, your medical bills have just stacked up.
Exactly.
And so you're having serious hearing issues, but do you want to see a doctor about it? No. I don't want the extra bill, $165. I just would rather not hear.
Yes.
And you don't report things. I mean, like my husband doesn't get treatment for fatigue. You know, how are you going to prove that?
Because
Right,
everything's a dollar now.
So the way your condition is determined severe is usually supported by your medical documents. And in your application, you will have to provide who is treating you, what medications you receive. I believe that you need to put on there how often you take it and list any side effects if you have it. But they need a definite diagnosis. They need a longitudinal history in order to prove that your condition is severe. So if you are not telling your doctor that you're suffering from fatigue, but you're only saying it in your report, your application, it's not really consistent. So communicate with your doctors as well.
I heard that one of the conditions was 2 events a year or more could qualify you for Social Security.
Yes, but that also has to be in a situation where you are receiving medical treatment.
Yeah.
and you're not responding. So again, that falls into the not responding to treatment scenario. So that is another way you could meet one of their listings to determine your impairment is severe.
And also
about-
with MS, it's more severe sometimes than you can work other times. So is this like
Correct.
black and white?
The work,
Just that amount? Do I have to just stay on disability, or
We'll-
because mine might
we'll-
be magically getting better soon?
no, we'll cover your ability to work. It is a later step. I think it's 4 and 5 that will cover some of that work. Oh, you're fine, you're fine. So I just wanted to cover the severe definition.
I have a question.
Sure.
I had a test from my I don't know if this is psychologist or psychiatrist. Anyway, it was a 4-hour long thing. And they make you feel so stupid. They put you through all these tests, and I tried to do them and tried to do them, and I think they set them up so that you don't do good, but that's just my opinion. And put this where you think it ought to go. You know, you put it in the first one. You try to match up either the symbol or how many of them there are, what the color is. There was another category. But every one that I tried, I kept getting wrong, wrong.
So was it a mental status exam maybe?
I think
Or a cognitive test?
Cognitive test, yeah, it was a
Okay,
cognitive
you would
test.
definitely want to include that doctor
Right.
and when you receive that treatment or testing or something like that. Include that. If you go to a counselor, include that in your records. And Social Security, the DDS, the Disability Determination Office, making the decision on your claim, will send off for your medical records. If there is insufficient evidence to support everything, but they feel they have something, but they just need a definitive test or a couple of tests, they will provide you with what they call clinical exams. They will send you to a clinical exam and pay for it out of the expense of Social Security only if they do not have enough evidence and they need more to support what you're saying. And also vision exams and mental status exams. And there are certain heart exams and some blood tests that they do regarding more like seizure medications and that sort of thing to check your blood levels and medication levels. But they will not pay for MRIs. And they don't take dental records either, or chiropractor, really. They want a medical doctor, and like I said, a good history with that doctor as well. So I mentioned if your condition is severe, the list of disabling conditions, MS is one of them, and you can just click on this and go to this website, again, ssa.gov, and I typed in disability process, and you can search on there if you want to just check it out, what the process is, and it'll pull up this page. So if your condition is not severe enough to qualify as meeting a listing, then they're going to review your past work. So in your application, you're asked to provide your past 15 years of employment. Some people have worked temp jobs, so those are constantly changing, but it may be the same type of employment, like secretarial, administrative type work, or some people have done line work. Some people have worked in a factory, some people have done sedentary jobs. But just try and list your past 15 years of employment from the date you said you became disabled. Okay, so say today, 15 years back. If you can't remember your exact employer, ask them and they can pull that up as long as you filed taxes with that employer, and Social Security can pull up your past employment.
I have another question.
Sure.
I have a husband who died 5 years ago, And since my doctor declared that, yes, I am mentally disabled, I guess, that I would qualify for disabled widow.
Okay.
That's a whole nother thing.
That is.
So-
That is based on your husband's benefits. And you would need to qualify for disability. And if you qualify for disability, then those are other benefits that may be eligible for you beyond your earnings. So you may be able to receive some of his benefits, is what I'm saying.
Is one gonna knock the other one out?
I believe whichever one pays more.
That's
But,
good.
yeah, but you'll have to ask.
Because he
And
made
that-
twice what I did,
Yeah,
so.
it's the field office that should be able to explain that to you better.
Is it full benefit or 75% of his?
I'm not certain about that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, the reason they look at your past work is because if you're saying you're disabled, but they can't say that, well, yes, you're having some problems, and you probably say that you can't work, but let's take a look at your past work. So you may be able to do your current job. Maybe your employer closed, but that job that you did, that type of job, the job description, maybe with another company within your area or something. Now, they don't pull up a list of places hiring, but they will provide you, or they will look at other jobs that you're able to do that are the same job, okay? And then if, say, your impairment is severe, but it still doesn't meet a listing, and you can't do your past job that you just quit, maybe there's other work you can do. So say you walked around, you did a medium type or light type job. Light work is considered 6 hours standing, 2 hours sitting throughout an 8-hour day. So, and also lifting about 20 pounds, occasionally 10 pounds frequently. That's considered light work. So say that, well, she really can't return to light, but she's still young enough, or he is still young enough that maybe they could do sedentary jobs. Let's see, are there sedentary jobs that qualify within the impairments that they have? Are there sedentary jobs that work within their mental capabilities that were reviewed or that they may have or something? So they'll review those. So those are considered other jobs. And if your claim is denied to other jobs, they will provide you a list with jobs in the economy that you should be able to perform. Okay?
But they're not going to help you get a job.
Right. They're just reviewing your claim.
So
Yeah.
do they have a listing of companies or government organizations even that offer jobs to people with MS that may look a little different walking in the front door?
No, but they do have on here, I noticed, working while disabled. They have on here, let's see, how to return to work. They have links, I should say, of resources that will provide you with further information on ways to obtain employment with the conditions you have. And remember, you never have to disclose your impairments, your disability, or anything like that to your employers. That's confidential.
I don't want to hide something from them, though.
Right.
I don't want them to
Right.
think I'm trying to get something by on it.
Right, and I understand because I had to disclose with my managers in my previous jobs when I would have some cognitive issues or something. And I just felt like it was being an honest employee, so they knew that, well, she might need to take a little bit more time off or Something like that, so I was honest with them, but you are not required by law to do that. Now, if you're doing something dangerous, working around dangerous equipment or performing surgery or something, and, then you should disclose that. But anyway, they will provide you with information about other work that is available in the economy. Now, it may not be the specific job you're looking for. It may be something you don't want to do. But they try to be fair and compassionate about what other jobs there are in the economy that you could do, and that are not just 2 jobs within the whole state of whatever. So they are required to be fair about that.
Do they help you with retraining for other jobs?
There is voc rehabilitation
Yeah, that's all right.
that you may be able to seek through the state. There are private companies that may provide voc rehabilitation. You may want to talk to a counselor. You may want to get onto your state's website to look up further information about vocational rehabilitation. Now, you're not required to go back to school or anything like that, but they may be able to provide you with resources to perform a job so that you can continue working. And speaking of applying for disability, so when you do apply, and let's say you do get it, you think, oh good, I'll be able to take my check forever. People who are approved for disability often, forgive me if this sounds morbid, but they often have a shorter life expectancy if they decide not to return to any type of work. So I've always encouraged people, if you're denied, it doesn't mean you can't do a hobby. Like we heard, exercise and nutrition. Those are important things if you have MS. So try and stay active somehow. Again, I'm not asking you to join a fitness club and take all their classes or something, but try and stay active and do what's in your limits.
Volunteer.
Yeah, volunteering is good. So, just a quick bit about being approved for disability. Some people get approved and they decide, I understand that Social Security supplements my income. And it's not going to cover everything. It's not going to cover my bills. It's going to be tough meeting things every month, especially if you're younger and you don't have retirement available yet, or you didn't have investments, or you didn't get some great inheritance. So Social Security checks are only supplementing your income. So you are encouraged to try and do some sort of work. And like I said, there is a pamphlet and brochure online you can read. It's called Working While Disabled. It will tell you how much each year you can earn per month. This year, as mentioned in one of the first slides, was $1,130 a month, and that's gross income. So let's say you do return to work. You are allowed to work, but again, be consistent. You may have been allowed based on fatigue. Try not to overdo it for yourself if that's what's in your medical records, because it's about safety for you as well. So if you want to go back to work, you are allowed to work, but under that amount, and each year changes, and you are required to report your work and report that to the field office. And again, you can go online to find your local field office. You can call them. I think the waiting time on the call is getting better, but contact them online if you can at all, or have a friend help you. contact the MS Society about maybe helping with this. We've helped go over what to do when filing for disability, but I have not yet helped someone fill out the paperwork. But it's not a terrible process or anything. But if you have questions, you can contact us, and we'll get together somehow and make sure that you get things filled out correctly. And if you've gone back to work while receiving disability, we'll also make sure that you get that reported so that you're not afraid when you get a letter saying, hey, we noticed you're working, you have to fill out all these forms, you're being reviewed. And so just always make sure and be honest and report things
I have
if
a
something
question.
happens. So yes.
What if you got a full-time job and you're gonna try, so you're gonna say, hey, I'm gonna try this out, I'm gonna make over that 1,000 whatever it is a month. Do they give you a certain amount of time to try that out?
Yes. Yes, it is called a trial work period. You get 9 months after you've been approved for disability to do that. You can make $1 million a month for 9 months only, okay? After that 9th month, then let's say that on the 8th month you just said, I cannot work anymore. I'm just going back to my single Social Security income, okay? You still have that 9th month hanging around, but it hangs around for 60 months only, okay?
60 months. That's 5 years.
Right, right. So it gets a little confusing. You don't have to memorize that. You don't have to know it, but that's just a little work information as a side note to that. But you're allowed to work as much as you can for 9 months, and that's called trial work period. And if you decide it doesn't work out for you and you stop and you go to part-time or something, as long as you keep it under that monthly amount, you should be okay.
Then you reapply.
No,
After 60 months, you don't reapply?
nope, nope. As long as you're staying under that amount. Now, I believe that after that 60 months, as long as you've stayed under, I don't know the exact situation right now, but, because Congress is, changing things up a lot, things could change from what I say today to Monday. So contact them if after the 60 months maybe you want to try working full-time again or something. There is a short time period called unsuccessful work attempt. If you've done that 9 months that I've talked about, and it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, but it has to be proven that through your employer that you weren't able to work because you were having problems due to your health. So she worked maybe 3 months, and we had to let her go. He worked maybe 5 months, we had to let her go, or him go. So there is a very short window that you're allowed to work as much as you can.
Well, say you were approved for Social Security and disability, but you're not going to try out, say you don't get a job till a year later after you were approved.
It's still that 60-month rolling.
So you do that within that 5-year period, and you can have that 9-month period anytime in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then it used to be you absolutely could not work at all.
Right.
And then they did the Ticket to Work in Kansas, and I know
That's
that's
it,
what,
yes.
yeah, Ticket to Work was
Yes.
the legislature that passed that, so.
They still have a Ticket to Work program. Not a lot of people take advantage of it.
I know.
So,
And we worked very hard on that. We worked very hard on
It
Ticket
doesn't
to
seem
Work.
to coincide with MS because you have an attack and sometimes you're just bedridden.
Yeah.
But I earn pretty good money. I'm still rather young. I don't want to be on SSI. I want to work myself up to that place where I can work.
right.
And so, but I'm probably going to have another attack later. But I don't know if it's going to be a year or 2 years or not, or 90 days. I haven't, I mean, this doesn't seem to work with the
Yeah.
right to work,
Well,
or the want to work.
right, but that's why it's supplementing your income. So as long as you've paid into the system, then you, like I said, you can go online and see how much you'd be able to work, or how much money you'd earn each month from Social Security disability. And as long as you stay under that monthly limit, then you can draw what you've paid into the system and your new employer. But I can only suggest try to do something that's accommodating for you. And definitely seek out reasonable accommodations with your current employer. So, yes?
So maybe that kind of answers what I didn't understand. So if you make quite a bit more than the 1130, do you need to basically quit your job?
Yeah. Or reduce your hours.
And so do they kind of back pay? Like if it takes you 3 months to get approved, do you get the 3
Yes.
months of pay?
Well, no, it's not. It's
Retroactive.
not like that. It is retroactive, but how it works is, say that I know that I became disabled 1 year ago, and I've only been able to work part-time, and I just decided to apply for disability. As long as they have good medical records and everything to prove that I was disabled a year ago from today, and I've stayed under the monthly amount because I could only handle doing temp work or part-time, then they will go back to that 1 year alleged onset date.
That's good.
So that's how they do that.
And I thought there was a tool that physicians use to measure fatigue, because MS people used to have a terrible time getting disability because you couldn't see fatigue, you know. But I thought there was a tool that the neurologist, well, and they can do cognition testing too.
Right.
So, but now, but it used to be so difficult for people with
It
MS.
really is. It
Because-
really is. And
Yeah,
that's why I
it is
stress
a little
the
better. Yeah, it's
consistency.
a little better. but-
And insomnia, I mean, my husband can't sleep, so how is he gonna get up and go to work in the morning? He's
Yeah.
still sitting up at 3 a.m.
That's-
sleeping.
Right, that is something else you definitely have to report to your doctor. Have they tried intervention with medications? Are they doing some sort of
CPAP.
acupuncture thing? Yeah, CPAP, you know, something.
Yeah, see, yeah.
Yeah, but
You don't want that expense.
I understand.
Insurance
I
is
really
not part of
understand.
it. My
and-
insurance is high, so no.
Yeah, if there's any sort of
And they're going to need that
agency,
documentation.
you know, that may be able to provide resources or assist with that, then, yeah, contact them.
How about occupational therapy? What is that?
Occupational therapy helps train your upper body so that you can perform like typing or reaching and grasping.
Okay, that's what that is.
We have reached the time that we're ending today. I do just want to offer a couple wrap-up comments. I did bring some resources today from the MS Society on this issue. One is a resource about SSDI and self-advocacy, and it has some links in here. It's not active, obviously, it's printed off, but you can find out about some larger manuals that we have about the SSDI process. I've also provided some information for employers and Should I Work, some brochures from the MS Society. But also, so you know, we have, if you're trying to evaluate what to do, 2 resources. One, call an MS Society, MS Navigator, they're social workers. We're part of a large team. We have, within that team, staff who specialize in insurance and benefits. So please take advantage of that resource. they can help direct you in the right way of what to do. And then also take advantage of the service that we offer here in the chapter by getting in touch with this volunteer team that we have. So wanted you to know that there are those two resources going forward, and be sure and pick up one of these on your way out. And then as you leave today, go to the main room. We're going to wrap up there. And you want to go because we have raffles. We're giving away